All right, so I think we're live. Looking at Restream here, so it should be live on all the
Yes.
platforms. Um, so it's good. We're just hanging out at the end of the day. This is like one of the few times that we're maybe have just a second to think about stuff. Um, so I was on a flight on Saturday. Started the story, and I downloaded all of the no code UI streams for the last like 2 or 3 weeks, just
Nice.
one after the other, like knocked him out. So it was really
Dude.
good because we are building a social platform. So it was super helpful to see how you're building the coffee app. Um,
Yep.
and a silly question, but what is that app called?
It's called Optimal Coffee.
Optimal Coffee. I was trying to find
Optimal Coffee Notes. Optimal Coffee Notes. So
this up.
it's currently on the App Store, but it's currently just, a place
I've
for you
got it.
basically it's a CRUD system for you to create notes, right?
That's
Like
awesome.
my wife and I used to own a coffee shop out in Alpine, Texas, and we drink a lot of really good coffee. Um, and we have all the equipment, but sometimes it's annoying when you have like two or three good coffees, and you're brewing them on a cycle, you're not brewing the same coffee every single time to remember all of the specs that you need for that coffee. So,
Yeah.
uh, whether it be grind size, dose, ratio, water, all of that stuff. So,
Yeah.
and also, like when we were running the coffee shop, I also wanted something to like do that with espresso, so like you'd have all your recipes in one place where you don't have to like write it down on a note and pass it to the barista. You could like essentially post it in an app and they could read it and then they could follow that.
That would be really cool.
So,
I love
yeah,
that.
yep.
Yeah. I have gotten into the habit of being pretty prescriptive as well. Like, I know you normally think you know how to make this latte, but actually, let me show you.
Yeah.
So,
Looks like Joseph has a question.
is Joseph got a question? And again, if you guys are just hopping in, we'll take Joseph's question in a second. I'll bring you on here. And then if you guys are watching on YouTube, if you're watching on X, we'll drop in the comments the Zoom link. We're just going to open the Zoom link up so anyone on any of our channels can just hop onto the Zoom call with us. We're gonna hang out for like maybe an hour till about 6 Central, and then just take questions. And so if you are in the Zoom room here, just go ahead and like raise your hand, and it'll help queue it up for us, and then we'll bring you on. So let's kick it to Joseph here. There you go. How's it going, man?
Hey Joseph, hey Bruce, hey Andrew. I know you already said last time about putting on your camera while you're cooking in your kitchen, so I'm just gonna, go by voice right now. The kids are hungry.
Oh, totally good, dude.
But I was wondering if you have concrete dates for the boot camp, because I'm very excited, looking forward. I know that I brought up that there will be, a conflict with the Tuesday and the FFDC, where I'm looking forward to seeing, whoever makes it out there. Um,
We'll
but
both be there.
Looking forward. But I was wondering if that Tuesday's not going to happen, will be pushed off to the following Tuesday. Is there, hard dates so that I know just to make sure I don't have any other conflicts?
Yeah, definitely. So, of course, we scheduled it on the Tuesday of FFDC. Andrew and I will both be there, and would love to say
Well, I
hi.
won't be
Oh, you
actually,
won't? Oh, I've been.
sadly.
So I should
No,
not tell people that you went.
I know. I'm sorry.
Andrew,
I'm
Andrew,
sorry,
you've
guys.
been being coy about it the whole time. I was wondering. You will be
I
missed.
I have a baby. I have baby showers like
Oh, that's yeah.
that week, and we have people in town that I have to like entertain. And so I'm not able to. I have family coming. Like I just it did not work out for me. So
Congrats
I'm
for a
I'm
good
really
reason.
bummed.
Understood. You will be missed.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well,
Yeah. Same. I
yeah.
wish I could be there, but you guys are
Uh,
gonna have a lot of fun.
exact. And like to answer your question, we're just gonna push it forward a week. So like basically we're starting tomorrow with the first call on a Tuesday, and then essentially we'll end on a Tuesday. So we'll just move that one call forward. So we still get 4 calls with me and four with Andrew.
Yes.
Okay, great. Thanks. Thanks a million.
Yep. And also like a bunch of, I mean, part of it's gonna be fun because we'll be in Slack, and so part of the building portion of the boot camp will be like working on a pretty robust project in a month. It's so there's going to be a lot of back and forth and a lot of questions asked, I'm sure. And so I would like to guide in that, and we're going to provide a design, like the goal from my side is we have a capstone project where you are actually implementing um, a three tenant type of application, right? So you have customers, you have a employee or a tasker, and then you have a manager. And so you'll have a mobile app for two of those user types and a web app for the employer manager type. We're going to build that out in FlutterFlow. We're not doing a tutorial. It's not going to be like, hey, this is what you're going to, I'm not going to walk you through step by step. Part of this is implementing the processes that we've talked about and helping you overcome challenges that you face so that you can learn how to problem solve yourself, and you can have somebody there in your corner to help you, answer questions so you don't get stuck, hopefully. So I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. We've done it before. I do it with all of my hires that we hire at Kaleo Design. We take them through a project. They have to produce something at the end of that project to showcase their proficiencies in FlutterFlow. So it's something that I think this is going to be extremely beneficial for.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think I mean so much of it is just like if you can the work that comes out of this, that's it's gonna be the best showcase for your business is just to show what you've done. We say like show
Yeah.
don't tell. Like just show like I built this thing and here's how it works and it looks awesome. That's the easiest way to get new clients is to kind of show what you've already done. So that's gonna be
Yep.
awesome.
And then also we'll have like weekly design challenges. So a lot of the stuff you see me post on Twitter, the goal would be to break some of those things out into more tutorial based things. So like, let's build I don't know, bottom sheet that has a interactable page view that, animates when you make selections, something like that, right?
Yep.
Or a weight, like utilizing a slider to increase the weight of something, or increase the size of a container. So we did a Weight Watcher app for a hackathon at FlutterFlow, and you input your weight, and you slide, and I had a container that increased in size. It was really cool. Anyways, I don't think that's politically correct, but it was fun. Okay, it was really fun to sort of
That was fun.
showcase something that is like, interactive.
Yeah.
So a lot of little things like that you guys will also have in your arsenal to post and to showcase your work. So
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, these little makes a huge difference like having that the attention to detail. Like a lot of times when you're starting Flutterflow, you're just like, I just need this to do that. Like I just need it to
yep,
like when I hit this button, that thing happens. And then coming back and like, that's sort of the next level is like also just making it look great, which Flutterflow makes it so easy, of course, to do that. You're not having to like learn Figma and then come over and try to learn
yep,
Flutterflow. You can really just do it all
yep.
inside. Yeah.
And there's so many agencies now. Like after our workshop, I had a bunch of responses from other agencies, and they were like, one, we switched all to FlutterFlow based off that workshop. Thank you.
That's
And then
awesome.
like another one was like, dude, love the workshop, great content. Like this is how we pitch projects, and like we are moving away from Figma altogether. And I was like,
Wow.
perfect, that's great. Um, it takes an experienced team to do that. But implementing like 80% of the UI UX of projects into FlutterFlow, I think is the ideal way forward because it cuts out a step of needless, needless work.
Yeah.
And it's so frustrating. I hate duplicating work. So anytime that we can reduce the duplication of work, it's a good day.
Yeah.
So being
And
able to just implement directly into FlutterFlow is ideal.
yeah, and the more you get into Figma and you start to use all of the groupings and layout, auto layouts and everything, like you're literally doing the thing twice. Like you
Yep.
you end up doing the same thing but just over with real data. And I've also found like in I don't know, 14 years of building websites and especially with even early days was like
Oh yeah.
CMS. We used to use this awesome tool called Expression Engine. That's
Oh
going way back.
yeah.
It's like based on like PHP is a PHP CMS. It was super flexible and everything would look beautiful. We'd put everything in, all this like artificial data, like just fake data. And then the clients would come in and just put in the most random stuff. And all of a sudden, like your entire layout looks bad. So that's what's great about FlutterFlow is you're looking at like real data always. Like here's
Yep.
my like I was watching, on your coffee demo, you're like, here's my 500 users, and you really see like actual users right there. You don't have to kind of wonder, how's this going to work when there's this many results or whatever. So you're kind
Yep.
of getting it in real time versus like everything is scalable and fast in a Figma mockup, and then you go to build it and you're like, oh,
Exactly.
this doesn't actually work well once I have thousands of users in here. So
Totally. And also like just any design, you run into design challenges early. Like so often, and I'm sure most devs just hate us, designers. I know they do, right? Because we like design these cool things and then it's like, oh, well, it would take me like 30 hours to implement that one little thing, and it's like, all right, you're right. That's not necessary. Like I'll just
yeah,
utilize this default widget, like a tab bar. So yeah,
nice,
anyways.
sweet.
Andrew,
Andrew, what's
question.
up, man? I'll ask you to unmute. There you go.
Hey, what's going on?
Yeah.
I appreciate what both of you guys have been doing for the community. I wanted to ask, like, I guess a more complicated question. I know that there's like Revenue Cat and Stripe and like different platforms you can use for like in-app purchases and subscriptions. And I was wondering, like, since one day I do hope to like run my own agency, like I know a lot of people want to make money from their apps. So I was wondering if you guys would cover some of the more technical things and like maybe bring on other people as well and just kind of explain how to do things like that, I guess. So yeah, thank you.
You're not the one that's been asking me online to cover Revenue Cat constantly,
Yeah,
have you?
I've been trying to ask you and some some other people in the community because it's pretty difficult to
It is.
do it.
It
Yeah,
is.
I don't know. I've been asking like people at FlutterFlow and stuff, but they haven't made a video in a few years. And I knew like you were
Yeah.
really experienced because I used to watch all the live streams on the FlutterFlow YouTube channel. So
Yep. Yep. You know what? We are implementing this for two clients right now actually at Kaleo. So I'll try to I have a developer that I usually this is how complicated it is, Andrew. I don't touch it. I don't want to touch it. So I haven't even explored it. I have a developer that touches it for me. But I will. I'll explore it. And we'll try to do a short video, on it and try to implement that in there. So
appreciate
Stripe is a great implementation. And also like utilizing Stripe with like a build ship where you could do like subscriptions or something. So like a
Mhm.
SaaS model, because there's no SaaS model available in FlutterFlow
Yeah.
beyond Revenue Cat, which you don't want. Nobody wants to give 30% of their profits to Apple
Right.
when it's not necessary. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And we've implemented a few times. I've done some of the Stripe API integrations myself, so I highly recommend like Stripe is a great tool. It's just the most flexible. You
Mm,
can put something in between it, like uh, there's ChargeBee or one of those can be very helpful if you're not so dependent on like there's enough margin in the pricing to like include because ChargeBee takes a percentage as well.
yeah.
Um, but what's cool about that is it gives you sort of an interface to like link to. So if you have, for example, in your settings in the profile of your app, you can say like manage billing and it can kick out to like a page on ChargeBee. And now like Stripe is adding this stuff as well. So we've
Yeah.
we've now added that. So you don't have to go build like a list of invoices or button to change my credit card, like cancel my subscription. All that's like actually in the Stripe customer portal. And then we just did some simple things. We did custom actions where as soon as the app loads, we always go to that redirect page where we can like run a bunch of basically the actions like on page load. And so one of those things is this custom action, which goes and like takes that person's email and their customer ID, which we store on Firebase, and it goes and looks up their account through the API on Stripe and says, yes, this person is like paid. Yes, they've done this, and then we let them in. To that. So that's how we've used that. And our client has also moved to use another tool called um, and totally forgot what it was, but it's a form building tool, but essentially plugs into Stripe and it has a similar
Yep.
thing like ChargeBee. I'll remember it in a second, but that's one thing they added because it got to be, I mean, they had 5 to 6 thousand like monthly, subscriptions that they were managing. So just the support was a lot. So they had another tool that was kind of like a ChargeBee. I'll think of it in a second. So,
That's
That's
cool.
awesome.
That's cool. Awesome.
um,
Joseph,
so
what's up, man? Another question?
One second. Yeah, so I was just wondering, I know Andrew, you may have touched on this a little bit in some of the live streams, but um when it comes to bug, solving for issues that you can run up to, whether it's limitations on the platform or it is a bug, I find me personally that I have a difficulty where I'll end up down a rabbit hole and it'll take me some time, and then I stop and realize, you know what? I really have to back up a step and maybe approach the issue from a different angle. Do
Yep.
you have systems in place to be able to, how you approach when you get something, whether it's, beyond your scope of knowledge, or like I'm like in this scenario where, hey, it's not, there's either a bug in FlutterFlow or Flutter itself or something, some third party where you're like, okay, this is how long I spend on an issue, and um etc.
Yep. Um, this is where I've been blessed to collaborate with others. So, I sort of know like where my limitations are. And sometimes I will spend a couple hours trying to bug fix. I tried to do this with a complicated onboarding form. It was not onboarding. It was like a survey form that literally has like 85 questions, split up into like 6 categories. And, there's like a bunch of data that needs to be presented to the user and then saved. And I spent 3 hours running into the same bug, and it was literally based off of, a list of strings on a choice chip that, it wasn't set, and um, I was feeding the default values to it, and it broke the entire FlutterFlow app. Like FlutterFlow didn't let me know that, didn't tell me a null value, or it didn't tell me where to find the null value. But downloading the code, my developer was able to help me figure that out and move forward. So that's where collaboration does really help. And again, like you don't have to know everything. I don't have to know everything. So that's been very, very beneficial. That's where a thing like this boot camp, I think, is super helpful, because it will open doors and opportunities for you to find those collaborators.
Yeah.
I think community is so important, and being able to find the right person to partner with is key. So
It's awesome. Yeah, I think just you have to so I want to say, like, when you first start in FlutterFlow like 2 3 years ago, like it was so much harder than it is
yeah,
now, right? Like
yep,
now we've got the debugger console, like we got local, we can run the whole project locally so much faster. I mean, I remember in the early days we'd run into things and you sit there for like hours like trying to like figure out the craziest thing, and it's just, it's just a red error page. Like there's no information, especially when you're just
yep,
getting used to it. And I remember being frustrated. We do have some team members we've met through the community and just over X, and so I have those guys. And there's some people I know as well that that they have like a paid Calendly, and for like $25 they'll like hop on a FlutterFlow call with you. I don't know if we've used this a couple times when we've got some crazy wacky problems, and yeah, having someone else help you get unstuck. I remember a case where we were doing a um, custom cloud function. And I think this was before even you could manage cloud functions in FlutterFlow now, which is like so much easier. But I
oh yeah,
could not get this thing to work. And I was ChatGPT like 2 3 hours, like trying to get the same thing to just deploy, just would not work. I sent it to this guy, and I think it was like 14 minutes he sent it back. He's like, "You're all set." And I was like, "No, like I don't think you understood. Like this is what the thing." He's like, "No, it's already fixed." And I was like, "Man, I should have talked to him like 3 hours ago." So
yep,
Fiverr's great, throwing some questions on X. But a lot of people just hop on, and help it, for a couple
yep.
bucks, it's worth getting unstuck.
I think
Yeah.
100% that 100%.
I
But being
I
able,
remember those early days. I
yeah,
remember those early days. I remember bothering you, Andrew.
I can
You
help with
will.
most of the UI stuff. So
I
I mean,
know.
like I'll help with
No,
most of that, but like code stuff is over my head, man. Like I mean, I run into
so I'm the
problems.
opposite.
I was sort of awesome with I also have like some aces up my sleeve, Like I'll message Will, or I'll message like Anton from FlutterFlow. I'll be like, hey man, like what is this? And so, or like I'll message Alex sometimes, be like, is this supposed to work this way? And at FlutterFlow, he would just be like, oh, this is how I'm like, oh, dude, you're a freaking genius. Like, just out of this world.
Andrew, last week on last week's live stream, you pulled something like this is why I was asking you when you ran into an issue with the animation on
Yeah.
load, and you were able to then. So some of it comes with obviously experience in the field that we're like, okay, if I can't do it this way, I could do it that way. So
Yep.
that happened, I think, right away for you just because of your experience. That's why I'm wondering in scenarios, okay, like you and Bruce are saying, it's really about getting connections within the community, which I am
Yep.
very lucky to have those with the FlutterFlow team. And like you said on X, Bruce, you're there, Andrew's there. It is definitely a phenomenal opportunity. I do like the idea of paid. I would probably even want to offer that because, like Andrew said, like when it comes to code, that's my wheelhouse, and I enjoy that. But if you could maybe put down in the link or in the Slack, like who these people are out there that you think are worth knowing to connect with in terms of
Yep.
even paid, I would love to see that. Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the people who are good and know what they're doing in FlutterFlow are like too busy sometimes to even get on a call with all their projects and stuff. So that's what's funny about it. But yeah, definitely so I know Andrew looks like you got another question. If you guys are watching on the on YouTube or X, like I'll just say as well, like we're just hanging out until next like 30 minutes or so. So just hop on the link. It should be somewhere in the chat or description. And then we'd love to chat. Just come hang out with us. So
Yeah.
what's up, Andrew?
Yeah, so I was just gonna ask one more question. And this is something I've been thinking about for the past few months since I started using FlutterFlow. It was about like, because I know you can make the designs in Figma and then go and do it in FlutterFlow, but like I don't know if this is bad from a design perspective because I'm not like really that great at design. Would it be bad to just do it all in FlutterFlow, like, and then just save different versions? Like, because that's what I've been doing, and like, I feel like it's more productive than like doing the same thing twice. But I know, like, I've watched the Gifted live stream, and they had like this crazy, like, different design iterations and like all these different things they were doing. So I was wondering, like, Andrew, like, your perspective on that and how
Yep.
you handle things.
Yep. I think we were talking before you got on about designing in FlutterFlow and how if you can, if you have that ability to design in FlutterFlow, I agree 100% with you. Like for myself, I don't want to design anything in Figma. Like when I have to design an app, like I'm designing a capstone project in Figma so that so the students can actually develop it in FlutterFlow. I don't want to do that, period. Like I hate it, man. It's like, oh, it's so less intuitive than FlutterFlow. Like you have to do all of these extra steps. Whereas FlutterFlow is just like auto layout is like it's implemented out of the box. Everything just sort of lays out. It's not a free form design, but that's how code works and that's how you want it to work. I'm a big fan of just designing in FlutterFlow. There are some problems with it, and this is what I'll mention. They're not necessarily problems. They're just extra steps that you have to think of. So we did this with a project with a client. And one thing we realized, like the client didn't have the overview that they needed for the entire application. We developed a mobile app for them. It was like 50 screens or so. And the only way they could see it was on their mobile phone. Sometimes it's helpful for them to see it in sort of a larger canvas view, and they're not technical. So diving into FlutterFlow was a little too much for them. And so having something like Figma, where you have a multi-canvas view. What we're doing for this next client that we have, we're designing 90% of the app in FlutterFlow, right? It's literally just a prototype, a proof of concept for a very cool niche in this market. And we're designing it all in FlutterFlow because you get to implement a backend and have dynamic data. And they want to showcase all this. They want to showcase notifications. They want to showcase, like I'm trying to stay quiet. Sorry, it's an NDA, but yeah, they're trying to showcase a lot of dynamic things that in Figma would take 10 times the screens to create. You would have to create 10 versions of the same screen in order to get the same feel in Figma that you would in FlutterFlow with just designing one screen. But again, they want to see the whole product. So we've been screenshotting the FlutterFlow project, taking them into Figma, and then allowing the client to actually leave feedback there. because it is sort of helpful for them to see the overall strategy of the app, you know, all sort of mapped out, not just in thumbnail wireframes, but in the actual design. And then we like make the changes in FlutterFlow, screenshot, and send, you know, and put them back in Figma. So
I agree because I was using the storyboard feature and I still feel like in Figma it's just better. It's more suited for that. Like zooming out and showing like the entire picture. I think, but it is cool though that FlutterFlow like allows you to like UI and UX, you could rapidly prototype. You really don't need Figma for that. But for someone
no
that's
way.
not technical, like you can definitely show it a lot more in Figma, like at the start, because I feel like anybody can use it. But Flutterflow, yeah, it's more technical, but I think that's why it's good because you can actually see how things are going to look.
Yeah,
So yeah,
and
thank you.
function and work, you know, the prototyping, I have a passion for this because dude, prototyping has been such a pain in the rear for so long. Like we've had clients come to us, they're like, "Hey, we want you like, you know, like we have this onboarding flow that we want to take clients through at a trunk show, you know, or like a what do you call those? They're not trunk shows, they're like large events, right? They want to like showcase their app to a bunch of potential clients at an event. And they're like, "Can you build this Figma prototype for me?" And I'm like, "Yeah, but it's going to suck. You can't even like input anything, right? Like you can't even utilize a keyboard. You have to like tap on this and then tap on that. And then you're showing static data. It's nothing. In FlutterFlow, you can do this so much easier. You get these things out of the box, right? Like text fields that automatically allow you to input data and then pass that data from page to page. And then you can actually show dynamic data as well, right? You don't have to create 10 designs of I don't know what you want to call it, like uh let's
Like all the
coffee
different
shops,
page
right?
states. Yeah, yeah.
You don't have to create 10 designs of coffee shops. You can like literally upload that from a CSV from Chat GPT, upload it to, you know, Firebase, and then showcase real data to your app. And you don't have to like design the list view and the details view like you would in Figma. You can do that all two screens, right? Real data. You can interact with it, which is it's so amazing, man. Like it's freeing coming from design where prototype has been broken since
Yeah.
the start. So
Yeah, I think that's always been the dream is to go from like concept directly to seeing something, you know,
yeah,
that's meaningful because really it gets the designing, the development process that has to go through like you know, obviously the faster you get it, Figma and Flutterflow, like it's faster to build stuff, or if you can just spit out code like super fast. But
yep.
the goal is to essentially get it to where it's like kind of something you can see and touch on your phone and play with it because
Oh
all of a
yeah,
sudden, yeah, clients and stuff have so much different perspective on it once it's kind of they can see it. I know we have a client who I can shoot a Loom video, I can do a screenshot, unless it's like on his device and he can play with it, like it doesn't exist.
yeah.
And even like if I describe it or whatever, so I literally have to get it in their hands, like get to play it, and he's like, "Oh, this is actually great." Like, and he'll anyway. So it's like I've learned a long time ago, like just people everybody has an opinion when it's like on your device and when you see and you have to do the thing and perform the action.
Yep.
But a lot of people's just different, you know, opinions of design, like when you're just looking at it on a Figma board or something like that. So anyway,
Yep.
we found that's been it's helped us iterate because the hard part of products, right? Like this is what everybody needs to get to. It's like not learning Figma, learning FlutterFlow, learning development. It's like building something awesome, like building something that actually solves a real problem. And that's what I love
Yep.
about FlutterFlow. It kind of puts all that to the side because everybody's like, oh, well, I need this massive like development engine to build out some sort of huge platform. I'm so huge app. And then this kind of puts it away and say, okay, let's go solve the real hard problems. Like, is this priced correctly? Is it the product market fit? Like, are you solving a real problem? Like, these are the things that are really going to make or break the business
Yep.
side if you're going to build something. So I just throw that out there. Like I think that that's kind of one of the huge advantages of where we are now and why it's I encourage so many startups and new customers to go the FlutterFlow route because um, one, it's faster, one, but it's also going to get them. It's going to reduce their risk overall as far as like an over
Yep.
investing and stuff that may not
Yep.
even work for all the reasons that have nothing to do with FlutterFlow or Firebase or any of that stuff. So
Yep.
cool. I see David had a question.
David,
What's up,
Hey
man?
guys, how's it going?
going well.
That's good. Just on that as well. And so where do you store all of your business logic? Do you use the functions within Firebase, or do you use something like BuildShip to be able to build your APIs sort of graphically, or was wondering if you could, because I'm not putting the, say, API keys for ChatGPT and storing them within FlutterFlow. Where would you store that kind of information?
Bruce, I'll let you answer that. I
We're
mean,
gonna do it differently. I know.
yeah,
Yeah, you
yeah.
go first.
No, I mean, we do backend logic. We have at Caleo, which is where I develop most of my apps. We have developers that use BuildShip, and we have developers that use Cloud Functions in Firebase. So it's one of those two things.
Okay.
For like
Just
API
depends
keys and
on,
stuff, there are
right.
secure headers to do that in FlutterFlow, but it's easy to do it wrong as well. So,
Okay.
yep.
Okay.
Yeah. For different apps, we try to keep things self-contained to FlutterFlow as much as possible. So I love that you can have Cloud Functions right there, kind of as far as the project. Um, However, for a lot of our apps, we do keep everything in a repository, and then we push it manually to Firebase and write those Cloud Functions, because we have a lot of different apps that all kind of run in parallel in different projects. Uh, but and then on this, the API side, like one of our biggest apps we've built was built on an API. It's a more video streaming platform, which has been great to have in a actual like Node.js API, and we've leveraged a lot of that. We're in the process now of thinking of how could we move some of that. But again, it's you just kind of find the right tool for the job, which makes sense. And one thing I think is really important. Listen to like a if you guys haven't listened to the Peter Levels interview with Lex Friedman, like he did that last week. It's a 3.5 hour podcast. Okay, so like get comfortable. But so many amazing and if you follow he's Levels IO on X, but you should all be
Yeah.
following him. Um, and he's like a solopreneur who's just like writes code, and he does everything in PHP, and he does it's all like hand coded stuff. It's like not using any of the JavaScript tech stack, like any of that. That's what he knew, and he just built it, and it works. And he's like, done extremely well in that space, building, I don't know, it's something like 20 different startups that are all producing revenue. And he just travels around the world. It was like, so that, it literally has nothing to do with the tech. It's like use the tool that
Yeah.
you know the best.
Yeah, totally.
If that's Cloud Functions are nice because you can ChatGPT can write those for you very easily. But if you want to, if BuildShip makes sense and they have some cool AI stuff, I've never used BuildShip for anything, but we've played with it, and we want to use it at some point. But we just know certain tools, so we just stick with those and focus on that. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Sweet. Yes, definitely storing your Peter, that's a great recommendation. Storing your API keys on a Google Secret. We actually have this exact problem on something else we're working on right now. We're storing some S3 credentials. Um, what you don't want to use is the Firebase remote config. That's what you don't want to use, which is what
Yeah.
we're using. But we're moving it over to Google Secret
And
Manager.
BuildShip has some sort of secret manager as well. I know, so it is beneficial. But
Nice.
yeah,
Cool. So guys, if you have any questions, you can put up your hand. We're just gonna hang out again 20 minutes. I'm gonna put this, maybe take a second. We've got about 60, 70 people watching kind of on different platforms. So if you guys haven't heard, we've been posting about it, sharing, emailing about it and stuff, but we're kicking off a 4-week FlutterFlow bootcamp starting tomorrow with Andrew and myself. And we're going to be diving into all kinds of cool FlutterFlow related business things. I'm going to focus a lot on kind of the marketing, the building a great sales funnel, like building basically pricing your project, packaging them, how to get people to pay for discovery projects. People like pay you essentially to do like an estimate or a quote.
yeah,
So just some great things. There's a ton of FlutterFlow projects just floating around looking for developers. So you just have to get noticed, get attention onto
yep,
your company and stuff, and kind of funnel some of that work your way. Because I know for both of our companies, like we are inundated with like requests constantly, and we can't meet all those requests. So
Yeah.
we're focusing on that side of it, and I've been using FlutterFlow as well for 2.5 years or whatever, or however, I think since end of 2022. So yeah, almost 2 years, I guess. And so I build in it constantly every week, so I can also speak to some of that as well. So our whole company is coming from full stack
Yeah.
development, and now we're like kind of getting into FlutterFlow. First, we've done instead of just coming, and Andrew's coming in from sort of the design angle and then going Flutter. So we sort of have two different halves of the of the whole picture. So it's good.
Yeah. No, I'm excited. And then we're also going to be covering, like a capstone project. So we have a month, right? 4 weeks. We're going to build out a project together. And I said at the beginning of the chat, or the beginning of the video, but I'm going to walk you through a 3-tenant application. So build a single app, well, 2 projects, right? Just so that we can understand the complexities of building 2 projects interacting with the same Firebase. But a web app for a manager, a mobile app for a customer, and a service worker, let's say, and we're just going to communicate with between those 2 platforms. And we're going to cover a lot of the common use cases that we have run into projects when building FlutterFlow. So it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be curriculum based. It's going to be live, sort of a live class where we walk through some of the complex things. There's going to be a lot of feedback and sort of coaching. And then the goal is that you learn how to problem solve with a coach in your corner. Both myself, and then we have developers at FlutterFlow, at Kaleo. Sorry, I have developers at Kaleo that will also help me. So I won't be the technical. I don't have to be the technical go-to, but I can be the FlutterFlow go-to, and then we can have technical team members help you with some of the more complex things that you're running into on that capstone project. So the goal being, you can showcase an amazing project to get more clients, right? People want to know what you can build. And once you showcase what you can build and your capabilities, you build trust with those clients. So you're already building that trust on your social profiles by showcasing your work that's truly yours. And you're not sharing any client stuff. But that's one aspect. Another aspect would be some design challenges weekly. So we'll have little things that you can share as well. It won't just be the capstone project, although there's plenty there that you can share. It'll be like little things that are fun that you can showcase, and that it will help you solve problems and learn how to solve problems. There's so much that you can do in FlutterFlow. And so often I see people bypassing those things, or not exploring them because there's a lack of knowledge. I just learned how to sort, use a drop down to sort backend queries, like a Supabase query. I was like, dang, I didn't know how to do that before. And I'm learning stuff every day, and just little fun things like that that you can showcase. So
that's awesome. Yeah, I think the idea of just being in a community and learning this stuff is going to be super helpful. Just getting immediate feedback as well. Like, you're working on some of these design challenges. Like, we're gonna have a Slack channel that's gonna be open for you guys to reach out to us between trainings, live calls. And so you can drop a link to your landing page. You can drop a link to something project you're working on, or put a Loom video together. Just get feedback, not just from us, but like, we're gonna have a bunch of really talented people in that community that may and between all of us, there's going to be a kind of a good grouping of skills and talent as well from different angles. So it's gonna be exciting. And so there's every Tuesday at 2:30 Central, I'm going to be doing a kind of the business, we're calling it the agency funnel idea. And then every Thursday at 10:30 Central, Andrew's going to be doing the design side of things. So you're going to get 2 sessions a week, which is super cool. And then we'll of course be available between those. And then not only that, like, Andrew's put together like 3 really amazing courses, and then a bunch of bonus content as well. Design principles, Firebase basics, FlutterFlow 101. So if you are just jumping into FlutterFlow and you're like, this sounds amazing, I just haven't even like opened it or played with it a little bit, like, this is some great foundational stuff to go through alongside. So
and so often I get people reaching out to ask me, like, to mentor them or to like take them through a project and stuff, and I'm like, homie, I can't. I don't have the time on my plate to do this on a typical basis, right? Or to do it for free, or to do anything. So taking you guys through like literally just a capstone project. Like, hey, this is how you build out this type of project. It's fairly complex. It's not super complex because you do it in a month, but it's fairly complex. You'll learn a lot. I guarantee you'll learn a lot, and you'll have somebody to help you overcome the challenges that you face. I think that's key. Both Bruce and I have 11 years experience in design. I'm good at what I do now, not because the first 7 years of design, I was actually pretty terrible. But the last 4 years or the last 5 years, I've had people around me that have helped me. I've had good mentors, good teachers that have helped me, gave me feedback, kept me on the right track, and trained in me the discipline to implement things correctly. And that way I can now train my team to implement things correctly, and we can move forward where we're not spending an hour changing every single button in a project because we didn't link it to a component, you know, we didn't link it to a theme widget in FlutterFlow. It's like these little things will save you so much time, and now we can crank stuff out so much quicker than before with a higher level of quality as well. And so I think that's just extremely important to know
Yeah.
what's possible and to have that that guidance. If I do
For
say so
sure.
myself, I think it's beneficial.
Yeah, definitely. And if you guys, I think there's I've heard people say like there's really no shortcuts in life except if you're going to hire a coach or a mentor. Like to have someone who's gone the done the thing 100 times before, they have
Yep.
such a great experience. Again, we haven't done everything, but between the two of us, we could probably answer a lot of questions or at least help you save some time. A lot of this, whether it's technical, whether it's just business wise, whether it's just positioning, marketing, whatever. I think just having a bit of feedback and being able to kind of get some guidance is going to be huge. And this is exciting. I'm hoping that this is going to be super helpful for people to go from whatever system they're doing now to actually automating having a clear marketing funnel with beautiful work that they can showcase, and it's going to help them land, 5-figure projects easily through
Yep.
this if you implement everything. Because that's kind of how we're leveraging FlutterFlow, and we'd love to see other people doing the same. So definitely excited to have you. You guys can go check it out. I put the link there in the description, but it's just workshop.nocodui.io, and check it all out there. And I know a couple people I'll say like had asked about like a payment plan as well. So we did give you an option to like pay for it over 3 months. So there's an option for that. Try to make it as accessible as possible. And if not, guys, like Andrew and I both put out like a lot of content, but particularly Andrew puts out a ton of free content on his YouTube channel. So like even if you aren't being mentored by us on a Zoom call or being coached, like pick someone like Andrew. I can say this, like I'm getting mentored a lot on sort of the design stuff, and also like uh, Andrew has this like gift for just going from like idea to like seeing the thing happen sort of in real time. So I guess just from like live streaming it and doing it so much. So I've
Takes
been,
time and practice.
yeah, I
Time
want
and
some of that to
practice.
rub off on me because and even our team, we've been talking a lot about speed and like how we can just like make things a whole lot faster.
Yep.
So yeah, I just encourage you guys, like it's not that we want you to buy this thing. We would love to serve you and help you, but if not, like go pick a mentor somewhere. That was the
Yep.
biggest business shift for me over the last 5 6 years, is actually investing in my own education,
Yep.
investing in my own experience, and so that's been really helpful. So um, yeah, I know. Anything else you want to add on that?
I mean, 100%. My brother-in-law bought me a focus from free to focus. It's like just a course teaching you how to focus. And what I realized taking that course was successful people invest in themselves. And I'm like, dang, bro, like the even the elements that they or the characteristics that they talk about in that course are like very privileged. You know, they're like, hey, just do the things you want to do. I was like, dang, but not a lot of people have that option, you know? But it's like, oh, but we do have that option. If you're an entrepreneur and if you're somebody that wants to build, you do have those options. And yes, you have to do some crappy work to get there. But once you get there, and you have to have that goal in mind. If you don't know that's available or possible, you probably won't ever accomplish that. I didn't know what was available to me. I didn't know how much money you can make in design, which I don't do it for the money. I do it so I can employ people and I can take care of my family and help my family out when they need help. But if you don't know the possibilities out there, you'll never have the vision to grow. You'll always be happy with making whatever you're making, 5,000, 6,000 a month, maybe. And you'll just be like, yeah, it's good enough for me, and you'll just sit there. You'll never know there's greater potential to help further, not only yourself, but other people. I think that was the turning point for me. It was like, um, yeah, I can do this thing and I can help employ people, not just with a coffee shop job that pays the bills, but with a career that pays all of the bills, takes care of the entire family, and gives PTO. I thought
There you go.
that's an amazing feeling, but also an accomplishment and something that's possible. So
Yeah.
whether
So,
you want to do that or whether you want to keep building for yourself and just, provide
yeah,
more value to your
for sure.
customers. So
Yeah, I think that's a great perspective. Like successful people invest in themselves, and I think that's the biggest shift in our business has been how what my me as the founder, like, and I know if you guys are starting out as maybe it's just a team of one, maybe you have some people you're helping, but the way you think about your business and way you think about yourself, honestly, like is the biggest shift in your entire business. Like if you have confidence, if you have, if you're in a good place, you feel good about yourself, you're, eating well, exercising, you're in a good place, like your business will flourish. But when it's like a downward spiral if you start feeling bad about yourself, like and that's what's a little terrifying as a founder once you kind of realize this, because you're like, wow, this is really important. And so then I've always asked myself, like, because people are like, oh, well, is this thing that's 25,000 or 50,000, like, is this that course worth that?
yeah,
It's like, I don't know, but like, I think that I'm worth it and my team's worth it for me to go figure it out. Like, if it can just give me one great idea, um, make a huge difference. So that's why we kind of like price this in a way that, like, if you guys go close one FlutterFlow deal with this, like, pays for the whole thing, right? Like, this is
yep,
like very, very easy to kind of make this a net positive investment.
yep.
So,
I mean, dude, I totally agree with that. And that's the beauty of this like capstone project. It's like, homie, if you can just showcase what you can do, um, getting a $3,000 project for FlutterFlow is not that hard, like it's just not. Like and it's just one project. Um, I've literally spent hours of free time just building things that I wanted to build, and I've just chalked it up to it doesn't matter. We're going to showcase that project. Or we've worked with clients like a friend. We had a friend's project, I was like, yeah, dude, it's possible to build. I'll build it for you, no problem. I'm gonna give direction though, and then I will showcase it. And we've gotten like 10 projects off that single project,
wow.
And it was like, oh yeah. So like helping somebody out. There's a great book called The Go Giver. Very good book. I recommend it to everybody. I bought it for my entire team and I asked them to read it. Joseph, we'll get to your question. Sorry. Your hand has been raised for a while, but it's amazing what you can do um, with a little bit of generosity, right, on your end, or a little bit of investment on your end, and how that will pay back. So often we just see um, black and white or in zeros and ones, and it doesn't really work like that. There's a multiplication factor that we don't see as humans. So yeah.
Really good. I love that. I haven't read that book. I'm gonna check it out.
Oh,
Uh,
it's good. It's
that's
good.
that's awesome. I'm gonna pay for the program just to hang out with Andrew every week and learn some stuff. It's already helped our business. Like all the watching the FlutterFlow. I mean, I thought the workshop was awesome for me just because
Dude, it was so much fun.
it
So
was so
great.
much fun, and just watching your design stuff when you gave away like so much stuff that I didn't even know you were giving away. So helpful to see it, and you're like, it just like heard like iron sharpens iron, but like this idea of like people just like, oh, this little level up, little tweak here, little that. So that's what I think these things are so helpful. One of the best things about this thing, and we're gonna go to Joseph, is like sometimes you pay for these things to just get in the room.
Yeah.
Like you get in the room with some people, like we won't try to be part of some groups and coaching things where like we are the smallest person, the lowest revenue, because it just helps expand your world. And there's people that are your same age, same stage of life, and they've got a business that's 10, 20 times bigger than yours. it's inspiring, and also
Yep.
you're like, hey, like how do you think about this? It's like learning how people think about certain problems, and it's not like there's one guru. Like Andrew and I will not say that we're like the guru going to solve all your problems. Like
No,
it's you
no.
get a conversation going, and we get a group of people, and that kind of collective mind together is that's kind of the smartest. I've heard someone say like the smartest person in the room is the room. Like it's everybody combined together
Yep.
makes that crazy valuable. So awesome, Joseph. Let's hear from you here.
By the way, I gotta say, from when I raised my hand, Tanner, the amount of information you guys, give over to the community, and it's easy. And, obviously, you guys are saying this, you're selling this course, but as a someone who's watched Andrew for very long time, and I've recently gotten to following you, Bruce, and seeing what you guys put out there, 1,000%. This is the reason why, and to all you out there listening, I am not paid for this. I paid for the course already. They have my credit card info, but it's to be in the room with you guys. This is what I feel is so valuable. And I'm not a FlutterFlow beginner. I'm not someone. So design, definitely, yes, Andrew. I need a lot of help in that. But in
Got
terms
it.
of, I'm looking forward. But
Yeah.
being in the room with you guys, and just the things that you impart that are the intangibles that Andrew, you've been banging this drum for who knows how long. And I when I spoke to other people on the FlutterFlow team, is that there's an awesome tool out there. It's like a pen. You give a pen is the most powerful tool you can get, but to know how to use that tool is not, it's not in the tool itself, but in everything else. And,
Yep.
and kudos to you guys, and I'm very excited. But now getting back to my question, sorry for that. How many projects do you think realistically could be juggled by, I guess, you factor, I know with a team, as the team grows and you can specialize, you'll be able to exponentially grow. But without that level of growth, meaning
Yeah.
smaller teams where there's no specialization per person, I guess it would be the best way to say it. How many projects do you think you can realistically juggle?
Um, it depends on the person, right? Depends on the person. But I think that two projects, and it depends on the scope of the projects. I think two projects can be juggled at a time. A fairly complex projects, right? But that's not for everybody, right? That's why establishing some of these processes are key, right? Like before I did this in design first, right? Like I established these processes in design first. I was trying to take on 3 projects at a time in design, and I realized like I'm doing the same thing, but I have to spend time on all 3 projects doing the same thing. I had to do it for the first one, and then the second one, and then the third one. And I was like, dude, and then I have iteration. These clients give me feedback, and I have to change this and change that. And I was spending so much time on those little things that I was like, this is stupid. I could have like created this template and always start ahead. So starting your project ahead, whether it's using, in FlutterFlow terms, using templates and flows and utilizing the base theme, right, to apply your color scheme to, is bare minimum. If you do that, your life will be a lot easier rather than trying to implement 1,000 custom colors and not being able to utilize any of the things out of the box. There's a reason why Tailwind exists, right? Tailwind is a framework for JavaScript applications. People can build things really quickly. FlutterFlow is built with that same mindset, right? All of the flows and the templates are there for you. And then being able to adjust things, and really it just takes out the abstraction of thinking about how to structure your theme, right? It's just like, this is how a theme is structured. You input your 3 primary colors, you have your neutral colors, you're good to go. You run, right? You don't have to think about those things as a developer. But you have to establish a process. And if you don't establish a process and you're just taking every challenge like it's a new challenge, you're doing it wrong. So learning and being disciplined in how you approach things, I think, is essential. You can go from taking on 2 projects to taking on 4 projects just by implementing the right processes.
Yeah.
So I think that's a
Yeah.
great question.
And I'll always say is like be aware of context switching, right? So like I found if I can go deep on one project for a day, or maybe touch 2 in a day, but it's the context switching of jumping between 3 or 4 constantly. Like that's where you'll lose your mind and you'll do less, you'll do worse and worse work when you
Yep.
do that switching. So um, deep work, get into, get in the zone, get in the flow, and then like dig into it. So um, awesome, man. Good to have you here. I also going to just highlight Muhammad is on this call, who's one of those guys. If you have questions, he has a little link on his profile link that you can, for I don't know what it is, but you can pay for like a question or a something on there. So glad you're on here, just hanging out. He said it's 4 a.m. where you are.
Wild.
Yes, hey everyone. Yes, I just saw on Twitter that you guys are alive. I thought I should just join again. Honestly, the last workshop was like amazing. I've been connected. I connected with Bruce before and just connecting with Andrew for the first time. But honestly, I learned a lot. I'm working on FlutterFlow like for almost 3 years now, you can say, and quite active in the community side, and always like juggling around between thinking if I can scale it or not. And that workshop like hit right in the corner, like exactly where I need it. Like I was confused that even if I can scale it or not. So I learned a lot that how an agency flow works. Like I'm coming from the place where there's no good processes the way you have implemented, and this gave me like a confident enough to start my own. Like I can scale it now. Like all the time I'm booked. Like sorry, Bruce, I'm still booked by the way till September.
That's great
And
to hear.
because yes, so I have like great leads from FlutterFlow. Like all of my leads are directly FlutterFlow for almost 2 to 3 years. I haven't got any other lead because I started as a Flutter developer. My like I was doing Flutter app development, and I started pitching my Flutter clients to FlutterFlow, and they think that this is a great idea that they can even see what I'm building right now. So this gave me a really good boost. I was getting like a good amount of work, which was the development in Flutter will at least I can charge more than in FlutterFlow. So this gave me a very regular set of clients, and I never stopped, to be honest. And in FlutterFlow community, I saw this chance of people in the non-technical side, because the way FlutterFlow market is that they market it to the non-technicals and the startup founders, but they are not technical. So I found a chance to start it like giving them consultations and these sort of things. So I created my own sort of page that actually help people a lot. And the way you describe your processes, like the Bruce described his processes, I was like, I'm doing the same thing, but why I'm not able to scale it? And I'm getting leads the way the Bruce said, by social media. I'm not good as Andrew by sharing content all the time. I will like after 6 months, I will just post one thing. I just completed 5 projects, which is really bad thing, to be honest. And I like actually take notes of what you actually said in those things, like keep it simple, showcase your improvements, and that it really helped me to say that I can just I'm just more confident in starting it to become an agency, you can say. And
Yeah.
just like the entire workshop was like definitely for a guy like me. And right now I think I can just take action and just get started with it. So I really like want to actually thank you guys for like
Yeah,
giving this. The 3 hour coaching was like really helpful.
awesome.
And I like even your project timeline, the way you have set up your processes. I, as a single person, do it in the same way. Like my workflow is exactly like 6 weeks. I divide it into milestones and chart them bi-weekly, and the flow is like almost the same. And I've like fine-tuned is to the point that with just the few things you have shared, I can like make it very, very well optimized and maybe just get on with it. Like I also have to put down work in FlutterFlow. Like you guys already know, there's so much work in FlutterFlow. Nowadays I just offer sessional, like 1 hour session, and like Bruce already know, where people come to me that and right after few sessions they said like I want you to make my application now. I don't need to do it because I already know you are doing it better than me. So
Yeah.
this way
Yep.
I've been able to get like 10 different projects right away, like, and I can't even keep up at this point. So I really think that this is the time for me to like scale it as well. And learning from you guys, this really helped me. And this is like honestly a thank you from my side.
Yeah. Awesome, man.
So,
I'm glad you hopped on in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
yep. Yes. So,
So awesome. Well, thanks. And yeah, for sure. I think that's Muhammad was one of the guys I talked to when we were out of bandwidth and needed help. And I was like, this is great. And he's like, I can help you a month from now. And
Yeah.
so he's in our Slack channel. And I like pinged him the other day. I was like, hey, any chance you're like free? He's like totally booked. So that's funny. But I'm so glad. I'm so glad that you're totally booked. Like there's a lot of people. I think that there's, like I said, huge opportunity now. And I'm glad you said it. We've been saying it. It's helpful to hear someone else say it. Like, yeah, there's
Yep.
so many projects here. Your main thing is how do you automate and do some of the stuff you don't want to do, like some of the
Yep.
boring parts of running a business, the marketing, the sales, like just put some of that stuff on autopilot and it'll just build tons of momentum so that you can keep focusing on working. Maybe you document a project here or there and that becomes your social content. Maybe you have a great landing page that like vets people and then it goes into like a booked call or a paid project discovery project. Those are things that you can have on automatic so that you essentially can keep focusing on the fun part, which is like building
Yeah.
cool stuff. And so those things and also like just thinking out through pricing and all that stuff so that it does make it creates more and more margin for you. So anyway, I know we're over time. So anything else, closing thoughts? You good?
Solid. Yeah, I'm
Sweet.
good, man. This was great.
Guys, yeah, this is
Good.
awesome.
Thank you
We've
all for
been,
joining.
yeah, if you guys haven't, no code UI is the place to go. We're gonna keep, you can apply anytime before midnight, and we're gonna kick off tomorrow at 2:30 Central. So we can't wait to see you guys there.